Hi guys, today we are making the Ocean Code offshore romper. You will start with a front and back bodice, a gusset, side binding that's 1.25 inches, and strap binding that's 1.5 inches. First we will attach the gusset to the bottom of the front and back bodices, right sides together to join them. When you cut your pattern, they instruct you to make a notch. You will take your 1.25 inch piece strip and attach it there with a clip. And you will take your strip and go all the way down both leg openings and up to the other side. And go ahead and throw a clip in right there. And then you don't really have to stretch this at all. So you'll just go through and evenly clip the strip down the whole side of the bodice and through the leg holes. Now that the strips have been clipped onto both sides of the romper, we will go ahead and use the serger and attach these strips to the body pieces. You're using a 1/4 inch seam allowance when attaching this. Now that both sides have been serged, we will fold the strip around to the back and have the raw edge line up with the seam that we've just created and clip it in place. And you will do this down the length of the binding on both sides. So when you're clipping this in place, it's so when you go through to top stitch, you will catch the back side of the binding with it. So now, like I said, we will go through and top stitch, and we're going to stay as close to that line as we can. So an 1/8 inch seam allowance there. Now we will add the binding to the front and back neck bands. If you do not have a binding attachment, check out the link in the description. It's one of the best investments you'll make sewing attachment wise. It truly makes it so much easier and effortless once you have your binding attachment. But you just weave your fabric through the guide and then use a stiletto to pull it out the other end. and then you turn it and put it under the presser foot. And then sometimes you have to like sew a few inches just to get it going straight, and then you feed in your material. Once you put the edge of it in, the binding attachment does all the work and it pulls it in and just attaches it perfectly. So we will go ahead and add the other neckband piece as well. So now we are done with our binding attachment for the moment. So now we will join the front and back bodices together. This is not exactly how the pattern suggests to do it, but I found it's the easiest. So you have your binding strip and it goes up one side fully and only goes partially up the other side. So what you'll do, you'll match the top of the bodice, and then whenever your shorter binding strip meets your full binding strip, go ahead and throw a clip in there. So then what I do is I feed in the shorter end, and I just go through with my cover stitch and just act like I'm doing like a top stitching through the black band. And I will do this until roughly when I get to the clip. Most of the time I'll stop once I pass the second seam of the gusset. So now you will go through and you'll take the top of the binding on the long side and attach it with the top of the side seam and go ahead and throw a pin in. Now, if you've watched my videos, I use clips for everything, but unfortunately this is one step where you do need some pins. So go ahead and just line it up, and you want your raw edge of your side without binding to meet perfectly on the underneath where your binding finishes. So you'll just go ahead and continue this down the side until you get to where your two binding pieces will meet up. So at this point here, we can go ahead and remove the clip because that was kind of just our bookmark of we don't want to go past this point. So you will go through and you're not pulling, you're not stretching, you're just letting things line up naturally where they fall. And you want to make sure your shorter edge of your binding is underneath the longer edge. So then you're going to go ahead and throw a pin in here for the moment and then go through and continue top stitching. You'll continue top stitching, and then as you get closer to the pins, you'll remove them and you will keep your stitching within the black band and follow it all the way up to the top. So now you just want to make sure your sides are overlapped, so this way when your stitching comes through, it will catch both pieces of material and join your sides together. Now we will go ahead and disengage our cover stitch, and then you will repeat those steps for your opposite side. You can see everything is all attached and the one side is closed up. So now that both of the sides are closed, we will attach our binding attachment again, and we will go ahead and get it threaded, and we will make and attach our straps. We're using an 1.5 inch wide strip, and I go ahead and thread it through, and I let it sew until it gives me roughly 8 to 10 inches of a good strap. And then once I get to that point, I'll go ahead and I'll start at one edge of the neckband and feed it into the attachment. Now the one thing about the binding attachment is it does all the work for you. So you just put your little corner in and it will evenly feed it and not overstretch anything. I'm just stopping here to trim up all my tails so they don't get caught up in the new band that I'm attaching. So now we will go ahead and we will do the same thing on the opposite side. So here's the finished product. I've trimmed the straps to be all the same length, and then I've just knotted them at the ends to finish them. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions or requests for the next tutorial, please comment below. Thank you so much for watching.